Hello, welcome to the Vineyard Church podcast. For more information, visit us at vkcwest.com.
Thanks, guys, for having me. You guys knew I was coming, right? This isn't a surprise? He didn't just, okay. Before I start, Landon, if you don't mind, can you come up here, please? And I'm only doing this because it was on my heart. I actually just met him. He had no idea I'm doing this, so I apologize for embarrassing him. But he's a pretty good-looking kid, right? Stand up here for me, please. I'm only doing this because I want to do an illusion, because today is about leading, right? And you seem to have a great energy about you. You seem to be pretty strong in stature, and I'm a little biased because you played defensive back as well. So, if you don't mind, help me up there, please. If I'm unwilling to come up there with you, it's kind of hard to pull me up where you are, right? But it's really easy for me to pull you down, all right? In life, you have opportunities to lead, and it'd be very easy for those around you who are not at the same level as you spiritually to pull you down before you can pull them up. And I want you to lead courageously and know that the standard that you keep yourself at is what will keep you firm and founded no matter what happens, okay? I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot. I think the hardest time in leadership is trying to teach young people, or a young man or a young girl, truly what leadership truly is. And it's mainly because their perception of it is us always telling them what to do. And usually our kids are better behaved when they're not with us, right? You hear about how good they can act sometimes, but it's like, I wish they do that at home. You hear about them cleaning up after themselves, but a lot of times you just want to witness it. And it makes me think sometimes of, like, I wonder if God thinks like that about us. Like, the difference is he sees us all the time. The good, the bad, the difficult, and the, wow, was that by accident or by happenstance, or was that intentional? But imagine being able to see everything your kid has done all the time and being proud of it, and being still hopeful and being patient. Like that's what when we talk about God, like what God truly is. He sees everything, yet he still believes in the choice he gave us to choose. And so today I want to share some things with you, but I will say he gave me the opportunity to talk about leadership, and I've experienced a lot of things when it comes to different spectrums of leadership, from the highest level to the lowest level to... But guys, today I'm going to talk to you about, like, one of the biggest accomplishments I've ever made lately. It was most recently, actually, my 6-year-old team won their flag football championship. It's pretty cool. It was the greatest thing ever, seriously. I was the coach. So, like, it was like the biggest feat I ever felt in my life. Like, going to the Pro Bowl didn't match the joy I had on that championship game when they won. Because, guys, we literally almost lost to, like, the worst team in the league game one. I mean, we didn't know they were going to be the worst team in the league, but they did have a B after their name, as in, like, the title of the team. So let's say it said All-Stars, B team. I mean, that makes you think that it may be the second best team for that franchise or whatever, that group. But nothing told us they would only win one game after they played us. And we beat them 34-32. So I was like, oh, man, this is going to be a tough year. Because leading up to that point, I'm a defensive guy. And I thought I did everything I could to get them prepared defensively. We were locking each other down. Kids were crying in practice solely because they couldn't score. They couldn't get downfield. Every kid believes they're supposed to score a touchdown every time they get the ball. I don't think they realize how hard that is. But it also tells you how optimistic kids are and how hopeful they are. Kids have no idea what their limitations are until we tell them. Bud, you're not going to score every time. I'm sorry. They're like, wait, what? So how many times do I need to get the ball to make sure I score then? Because my mom expects me to score a touchdown. That unwarranted pressure, we don't even know we're giving them. I found out the hard way. I was the coach. No, seriously, guys. The parents, you make it hard for us. No, just kidding. But no, as a coach, because that first game comes, and we're getting excited, and let me not get ahead of myself, guys. Let me back up. I'm excited because Landon came up here willingly and smiled, actually. It was awesome. Today I'm going to talk about leadership, and it's going to be a couple different things I'm going to talk about. I may not get through all of them, but there's some key things I want to talk about. Some of them may actually mix together. The first one and most important one is the foundation, right? It's the foundation of everything, how you prepare everything, how you create the environment conducive for people to thrive as a leader. The next one is going to be coaching without crushing. As a military person, that's a little different, right? But when we're coaching kids or coaching each other, the reason why I'm doing kids as an example is because who do you think we are to God? And what does the Bible say so many times? Do not despise them because of their youth. Even the least of these. The children are the most important thing. You won't get into heaven unless you have a what? Child like mine, or childlike heart. So when we think about ourselves and think about God really pouring into us, we're his children. Sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that our expectations we unwarranted put on our children are solely because we haven't communicated it properly. Like for me, my son put the toilet seat down and turn the light off. Like, he's 12. Come on, guys. He's had 12 years to learn it. Please. Come on. But the reality of it is what? That's not the priority of their mind at the time. And it sucks sometimes. I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to yell at them. I'm just going to turn it off. And then when he gets home, I'm going to remind him, hey, bud, I'm going to give you the invoice next time the light bill comes. Next one is going to be coaching through repetition, which obviously poignant because I just said it. Repetition of knowing, don't get bored with reminding them of the small things, because their ability to retain or to learn is based on sometimes our ability to be persistent and to be patient. And then encouragement. Don't forget about encouragement. Little habits matter. And I'll go into detail later, but your habits are what you fall back on. You always fail to your training, right? You always fail to the level of your training. When things are hard and you can't overthink things, you got to react. It's based on your habits. Your habits are based on what we do. And I got 6-year-olds to know that, which was a feat in itself. So guys, am I coaching your performance or coaching your habits? Habits. Thank you. And what are habits? What you do. All right, guys, and stop looking at the scoreboard, because what you do dictates the scoreboard. So don't look at the finish when you can control how it ends up. And the scoreboard never tells us exactly how you're doing personally. It only tells you how the team is doing as a whole. You could be having the best game of my life. I'm going to be honest, guys. I played some of the best games in my life in college and in the NFL, and we lost. When I got home back here in Kansas after I retired, I was finally unpacking like memorabilia, things that I've accomplished over my career or whatever. And I really realized that it wasn't as good as I thought I was, guys. I mean, yeah, I was pretty good. I played NFL for 8 years, but I was a Pro Bowler. But when you go back and look at it, your memory, you remember playing really well in a lot of games. But unfortunately in the NFL, they didn't give us game balls for the games we lost. So when I'm going through my game balls and pulling them out, I'm like, 7? I played 8 years. Someone only got one game ball per year? No, some of them were like 3 in 1 year. So there's some years I didn't have one. I'm like, wait a minute. I had way more than this. Then I'm like, oh. Yeah, there was a couple times we only won like 4 games in a season. Thanks a lot, Chiefs. No, seriously, guys, come on. You guys knew I was coming. You guys were red like this every Sunday, or just because I was coming? It was encouraged. You guys had like a chat, to let everybody know. I wasn't on that chat. I could have wore something different. KU has red in it. But no, seriously, we literally lost like 4 games at Arrowhead Stadium solely because Philip couldn't communicate to the center. And they somehow, some way fumbled the snap. And all we had to do was snap the ball and take a knee. But because people want to and scream just for fun, all you see is Philip going, he's literally yelling, but the center can't hear him. Can't hear him. And yes, we're going to lose the game because we fumbled the snap. Yep. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still healing. No, but seriously, we go through these things and we forget how much the atmosphere impacts your ability to be successful in life. And so then we got to go to your habits, where you said habits, and then passing down to good. Coaching with care, listening and guidance, discipline that leads to peace. Because I'm going to tell you now, as a coach, a lot of coaches get insecure because there's lack of discipline on their team. Because you don't know what's going to happen. In the NFL, the best strategy is that you can't tell what's going to happen before the play starts. In college, a lot of times there's some cues what's about to happen. And I watch college games now, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where they're going with this ball. NFL, they hide it. Where in college, the coach wants to know that they know what they're supposed to do also. So he's like, yeah, I need you to step a little bit back. I want you to be a little deeper on this play. And I'm like, the line, like, I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but if this is the lineman next to me, and my backside's a little further back than his, something tells me I'm trying to get a quick exit out behind him. But in the NFL, they don't want to cheat it. But in college, he's like, no, I need you to set a little back. So the coach knows that he knows where he's supposed to be going next. Discipline leads to peace, right? And then the last one's going to be they model what they see. So let's dive into it. The most important thing is creating a foundation for that, but the understanding of where they come from is also prepped into that. Every single one of us as parents did the same thing God did. When God created everything, what did he create first? The environment. Everything that played a part around us before he placed us in it. Which is no difference than when we find out we're having a kid, what do we start doing? Preparing. Creating a nursery. Creating a space for that kid to thrive. And we do this with what? The kid in mind. And so when you think about your foundation as a leader, we have to cultivate an environment for the people we're leading to thrive. But you got to take into account, what are they bringing into this space? What perspective do they have? Because, I mean, I thought I knew how to coach, guys. Like, I know a lot about football, but I had never before this point had to translate it to a 6-year-old. That's a different language. Like, we talk about break it down. Like, that's a lot of breaking down. I had to get rid of terminology, had to get rid of vocabulary, and just teach them how to process. How to process. When you see this, what do you do next? And it had to be the same thing over and over. And I literally had to keep telling myself and my coaches, hey, don't get bored with the same thing. Don't get bored doing the same thing. Don't get bored with the same thing. We made it to where it was so simple that they could do the same thing every time, but the opposing team had no idea what they were doing next. And my coach looked at me, my assistant coach looked at me like, what? How's that going to work? I'm like, oh, it made perfect sense in my mind. But we have to realize that kids are so optimistic that I can't believe that this kid would run in here every time and not get the ball. So that's what we're going to do. This kid's going to run in here every single time, and he ain't getting the ball. And that kid's going to run in here too, and he won't get the ball. We're going to give the ball to that kid. And then next we'll give the ball to that kid. Then next we'll probably give the ball to that kid again. You know what? We'll give it to that kid next also. But they're all going to do the same thing every single time until you become numb with it, and you don't know who's getting the ball. And all of a sudden it works because kids see all the squirrels that run by every single time. But the reality of it is that when you make things simple, make things fun, and you take them out of the thinking part, and you just build it the habit of it, you perfect the ability to execute something that looks difficult but is very easy. To an opposing defense, I'm a defensive person, so I tend to coach offense in ways to make it really difficult for the defense, optically. Kind of like Andy Reid. You guys familiar with him, right? We called Andy Reid's offense a stool offense. You know what a stool is? You know what a stool is good for? A lion tamer. You guys ever heard this story before? So if you ever see a circus, you always see the guy that's trying to tame the lion have a stool in his hand, right? You guys ever seen that before? You know why he has a stool in his hand? Because the stool has 3 to 4 legs on it. And in the lion's mind, each one of those legs are a spear. So the lion's trying to focus on all 4 of them because it calculates that all 4 of those points are dangerous. And so they sit there and go like this, and they keep rotating at the lion. All of a sudden, the lion is looking at all of them. He gets dizzy. He's like, okay, I can't do that. And he just gives up. And now he's at the mercy of the person that has the stool. That's what Andy Reid does. He only has about 12 plays, guys. That's why he has his players draw in the back. No, but seriously, it will be the same plays at different formations. We'll end up there at the last minute. They'll motion here, shift there, and then they'll end up in a different form, in the same formation they were in before with a different personnel. Personnel is the people that's on the field, guys. You know, sometimes it'd be Travis Kelce and 3 receivers. Sometimes it'd just be no Travis Kelce. And it'd be Gray out there. I think that's his name. And so you have these different personnels, but you end up in the same formation to do the same play, but it looks different because you change how it's set up. But they're running the same play, because you made it simple. So now the way you execute it is cleaner because it's all the same thing for the offense, but now the defense has to communicate and get to the right defense at the very end. So it's the same thing I have with these kids, right? Give them all a stool. Tame the lion. But the reality is we had to set a foundation for them to actually learn how to play together first. Yeah, I told them all to get in the line on first practice. They're 6 years old. It wasn't I didn't want a spaghetti line. I wanted the warm-up line, like shoulders width apart. They looked at me like, you want me to get out of line? And I'm like, no, it's a kid at that age only knows how to get in a spaghetti line, right? They just learned this. This is important to them. They're proud of that. Now I want them to get out of line and put their arms width apart and spread out. I had to move each one of those kids. In that moment, I decided I was never going to do warm-ups again. Because it wasn't necessary. And you don't need the warm-up to run around, do you? No. He's always ready to go. And so you do these things. You have to realize what perspective they're in. And I can't make unnecessary expectations for them that I don't communicate properly. So then I had to tell my coach to get rid of the whole letter system for receivers. How many people in here play offense before? You know what X, Y, and Z is? It's the alphabet, guys. But in football, each letter is for a receiver or a tight end or inside or outside receiver. But the problem is when you're 6, 7 years old, that's still the alphabet. And you just learned that. And so when I say, hey, you're my X, the kid's like, no, my name starts with D. Why am I X? Well, because you're the slot receiver. So why am I the X again? I had to my office coordinator, I said, no letters. You're going to get 12 questions. You only got 7 kids in the huddle. You're going to get 12 questions. I go, give them a color. I said, we're going to go red and orange for right. Red's on the outside, orange is on the inside. We're going yellow and blue on the left. Blue's on the outside, yellow's on the inside. Running backwards is brown. Give them a color. Kids love to match. And it always ends at matching. They don't ask any more questions when it comes to match. What we got to do? Match. What we matching? Colors. What color? Oh, I'm blue. So, am I blue on the paper? Yep. Done. How many of us, when we find ourselves trying to go through life, have to first know who we are first? He just needed to know he was blue. Once he knew he was blue, he knew he had value because he was given value on the team already. So when you're leading people, you cultivate an environment, but then you have to give them value. So in the foundation, let's talk about this real quick. Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way in which he should go. Even when he is old, he would not depart from it. Yes, I know the Bible uses the word he, but that's a very normal term. Just like it says human. Anytime it says man, it meant human, but he or she, guys. Train them up how they should go, and they will never stray. So when you set a foundation in a conducive area for them to thrive, you have to give them clear expectations, but also give them value and give them something to identify themselves as. After that happens, whether the kid was ADHD or ADD or dyslexic, it didn't matter because for some reason colors aren't hard to any of them. But what happens when you got a kid that's colorblind? I had one of those, guys. He didn't tell me on the first practice, didn't tell me on the third practice, and he finally told me. I said, wait, are you being serious? He goes, well, kinda. What do you do with that? He's 6, right? So he's colorblind, so then I finally get to the point to where I'm like, okay, what color can you see? And he goes, I can kind of see red. I'm like, I need to know what you can absolutely see. And his mother goes, shades of red. So he can see red, he can see orange. I go to office coordinator, I said, he's only red or orange. So he only can be on the right. And I said, but you have to make sure you tell him which one he is. So he doesn't look at both. This kid ends up amazing. His confidence gets bigger because he was ashamed of it at first. It was something that he didn't really want to tell me. That's also why he said kind of when he finally brought it up. You know, it's very hard for a young person to advocate for themselves if you don't create an environment for them to advocate for themselves or to speak up. So for us, even in the spiritual world, we have to create an environment conducive for them to thrive, but the environment also has to allow them to fail. In the last service, I spoke on this a little later, but I'm going to speak on it earlier because it goes into everything we talk about. If you don't have an opportunity to fail safely in the environment you're in, how can you ever get better? I mean, how many of us, the first time we were told that the stove is hot, didn't touch it? I know I did. And I found out real quick why I didn't want to touch it. I used to believe that the Christmas tree was hot also. It still is. But we do a great job of creating an environment that is safe for our kids. And We are lucky if their only place of opportunity to fail or hardship or strain is only in sports. And that's what it was created for you to go into a place with people in a safe environment to experience struggle, strain, and have to work with other people. When I was young, I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to build foundations, right? And I realized quickly that I loved football. But it wasn't intentional. It wasn't overnight. It was because in 5th grade, I played on a team that we won the state championship in 5th grade. And I was the kid that had everything but the fish weights in my pants to try to make the weight. I ate like 4, I think, McDonald's burritos before the weigh-in and chugged the water. And I'm pretty sure I wasn't enough weight 10 minutes after I weighed in. But what I'm saying is, in that time, we won state championship, and this trophy was the biggest trophy I've ever seen. Like, I also notice now, the older you get, the smaller the trophies get, guys. Like, the Lombardi is a great trophy, and it's made of like pure like silver, but it's probably the smallest trophy you'll ever win compared to the other ones you get nowadays. And so this trophy is the biggest trophy I've ever seen, and I'm like, wow. But I also at that time also realized what you can accomplish, like in life, if you don't have to do it alone. We didn't win that trophy solely because of me. We won it because we were the best team that played together, that accomplished these things together, because we didn't have a lot of kids. I played for the Turner Bears. It was FCC-JC League, which is out there in Johnson County. And we had probably about maybe 22 players total, maybe. And we went to state, and there was a kid named Bubba. It's always a Bubba, Wichita. And they had uniforms at Wichita Cowboys. And these uniforms were exactly the same uniforms that Dallas Cowboys wore. And they had the exact same numbers, guys. So their best receiver was number 88. Their best athlete was number 21. Their running back was number 22. Their quarterback was who? Number 8. I know you guys are Chiefs fans, but you ain't got to prove it. Like, they used to be in Dallas, for crying out loud, guys. No, but seriously, this trophy made such an impression on me that in 5th grade, when I drew a tile or a what do you call it when you have a quilt, a block. I drew on a block a football team. They're supposed to be a block based on what you want to do when you grew up. And this quilt was given to me when I came back as a mystery reader or a principal for a day at my elementary school, along with me having to guess what my teachers' names were from behind a curtain. And I realized also the tone they used to say something to me there was not the tone I remembered them sounding like in elementary. Because as a kid, I probably wasn't the best listener. And the tone they used then was very endearing behind that curtain. Like they wanted me to know who they were so bad. But I don't remember them sounding like that. But just like me, at that age, I used to stutter really bad also. So me being up here in front of you wouldn't have happened. But they also described me as a quiet, shy kid, which my wife did not believe. She was like, I don't think that's the right teacher. That's not you. And I'm like, apparently it was. But what I'm saying is, in the foundations of all things, in the culture of all things, you have to be able to experience failure in a safe place where correction can happen out of love. And with that, coaching without crushing, it is Ephesians 6:4, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in discipline and instruction instruction of the Lord. I mean, takes a lot of patience and a lot of ability for us to truly understand where they're coming from, because that first game when they didn't perform defensively, I thought I was doing something wrong. Then I realized it was the parents' fault. It was, guys. Come on, you think I'm lying? I'll prove it. No, so seriously, in the process of this, we were really doing really well on defense in practice. But at that age, what we say to our kids is so impressionable, and every young boy, I only had young boys on my team, every young boy on my team wanted to impress their mother. And what do you think mothers were saying the day before the game? You think you're going to score a touchdown tomorrow? I can't wait to see you score a touchdown. Oh, you think you're going to score a touchdown tomorrow? I'm so excited for you to score a touchdown. So when you show up to the game, they don't think they can score a touchdown on defense. So none of them want to play defense. So is that my fault or the parent? You don't want to answer now, do you? I see how it is. No, but seriously, in that moment, they didn't think you could score on defense. So it was so bad not their performance, even though it wasn't that great. I got to the point that I was like, I needed 2 more players out there on defense. I go, hey guys, I need 2 more. You guys, anybody else want to play defense? We have 12 kids on our team. We only need 7 on the field. I had 4 kids back away. I even had a 6-year-old push another 6-year-old forward, like, no, you go ahead. How often do you see a 6-year-old encourage another person to go before them? It doesn't happen. And I literally looked at him and was like, nobody wants to come play with me? Like, I was so hurt. Like, I was like, dang, that didn't sound right. Anybody want to come play for me on the field? And I went on a rant about, guys, if you're not going to play defense, you can't play offense. Because the longer we are out here, the less offense you get to play. And then I had 2, like come that didn't really want to come out there. And we willed ourselves to get a couple stops. Now, granted, that team ended up being the worst team in the league the rest of the season, and we ended up going undefeated and winning the championship. But the craziest part is we didn't know that at that time. But at the same time, we didn't give up 32 points the rest of the season combined. Because I had a conversation with the parents. But sometimes you got to coach with the parents too. But seriously, the perception, like, they didn't realize what their words were doing to the kids. And they didn't do that intentionally. No parent does intentionally. My wife did the same thing to my own son, and I didn't recognize it till it was too late. Because she said something to him, and the only thing he talked about was his touchdowns and how many times he got tackled. If you ask him how many flags he had, he goes, at least 1. It wasn't something that was like important to them because they didn't think it got a clap. And so we had to encourage this environment that was conducive for them to create, not only create value, but to execute it at a high level of what that value was. So it was about trust. It was about them pursuing together, about them defending each other together, and seeing how they affected one another. So guess what? I had to teach them how to play together, how to be together. So every time we came to practice, I said, hey guys, get in the line. You got to lap around the backstop. You're the leader. What do we do? What's the leader mean? It means the person that we're following. So they all had this call and action thing. All right, do we run faster than the leader? No. Leader, do you have to sprint? No. Is this a race? No. Leader, what are you supposed to do? Run at a pace that everybody can run at. What happens if somebody falls behind? We slow down. We don't stop. We slow down. What happens if somebody falls? Then we stop. I said, if you're the one that stops or one that slows down or can't keep up, what should you do? Communicate? Yes, communicate. So these young kids were learning these different things in life, but how many of those things are transferable in life? So how many times do we have lessons in life that God puts us through that we don't realize how transferable it is into our life? We think we're helping somebody else. Or how many times do we pray for patience? How many people ever pray for patience? Did he just immediately give you patience overnight? Nah, he gave you another opportunity to be patient. We realized real quick that, another test for it, another opportunity for me to learn to be patient. And so with these kids, it didn't matter how much football I knew. It was about how much I can translate to these kids. And I had to connect it to other things. Because after they went through, everybody was a leader. After everybody went through and was a leader at least once, then it was in pairs. What's the most important thing? To stay together. I said, no, that's the second most important thing. Now the most important thing is stay with your partner. Stay with your partner, and then if your partner falls or is going too slow, you can't run faster than your partner. And you need to communicate if your partner is too slow or falling down, or if we need to slow down as a group. These two are the leaders. Everybody go. Ready, go. Break. They take off. And then after all of the pairs were partners that are leaders at one point, we went to thirds, or 3 at a time. What's the most important thing? To stay with our partner. No, you have 3 of you now to stay with each other. And then the same thing vice versa. I was trying to get them to understand, like, conceptually what it meant to be a team, what it meant to actually trust and stay together and work together. And we did this before every single practice. It was start practice. But they knew in that moment that they had to start practice with each other in mind. And at the same time, I also had to tell our parents, because I would always speak at a I don't think it's an intense level, but it was more of just a demanding their attention. It was like, hey, I need somebody here. All right, guys, come on, get in here. Where they all can hear me no matter what. And then I'll celebrate even louder. But I had to get them used to my voice. So I'd always remind them, hey, you guys aren't in trouble. I just want to talk in a way in which all of you can hear me. And I would always say it and always remind them. And after a while, I was just like, guys, do I sound angry? And then you got like, no. You got one that goes, kinda. And then I look at the one and go, is it better for me to speak where everybody can hear me or just speak where you can hear me if I'm coaching everybody when I have to say it 12 times? Well, no, why would you say it 12 times? I said, that's why I'm speaking up. But then I also told our parents that my voice does not deflect how I feel about our kids at all. It's usually so they can hear me and so they get used to my voice at one tone so they never can respond to the tone of my voice, but only be adjusted to it, because in the game, I don't want them to play based on what the scoreboard says. I don't want them to play based on how my voice sounds. If my voice, as a coach, my voice can't reflect tension, anxiety, or anything I'm scared of. Sometimes as leaders and parents, we forget the anxiety we impress upon our kids based on how we feel about it. And now our kids nervous about something that they don't even realize why they're nervous about it. They just know that mom or dad didn't sound too confident about this. I don't know how I felt. It's going to be kind of nervous. It's going to be scary. And as leaders, we got to understand how we are imparting those things. And after that, I also told our parents, hey, guys, just let you know, I don't coach performance. I'm coaching their habits. And with that, their daily habits, I had to create an environment to where their habits was what they were focusing on all the time. I didn't care what the scoreboard was. I had a coach tell me, hey, man, you guys are about 28, relax. And I said, wait, we are? And I seriously wasn't looking at the scoreboard because I don't like looking at it, because because at that age, it's about them learning how to play the right way, play together and have fun. And so for me, if a kid made a phenomenal play, but I also realized that in that play, he had to work twice as hard because his friend next to him didn't come up to help him, and he actually got back in line again and was waiting his turn, which is very, very normal for kids that age. They think they've got to wait their turn. They think they have to, oh, you're closer, so you got it first. No, we got to attack the ball together on defense. And when we attack it together, it's a lot easier. And our team got to understand how that happens. And I kept having to tell them, it's trust you're building. It's trust you're building. If you go up and you don't go up with him, he doesn't feel your presence. Now he's going to overcompensate, and now he opened up the place he was trying to protect the entire time. It happens the same way in life. When we don't share the burden that we're carrying or the pain that we have with the people that we entrust, then we think we're alone. And then we're overcompensating for it, and then we open ourselves up in another area in our life to be vulnerable, and we don't know it. So as leaders, we got to not only create an environment that's conducive for the people we're leading to thrive and safe for them to experience failure and grow, we also got to make sure that we have open an environment that can help them and give them the resources to meet the needs that they're trying to accomplish within the group, and so as well as life. And then passing down the good, first and foremost, Psalm 78:4. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord. No matter what you do, you're going to build a reputation. You're going to have a way in sharing experiences with people, with friends, with kids, with other families. But you got to be intentional in what you pass it down, because only Jesus didn't have any flaws. The only leader I can follow that can say, yeah, give me everything you had, because you'll be all right. 1 Thessalonians 2:7-8 is coaching with care. It's hard to lead anybody that don't know you truly care. It brings me to like the Good Shepherd. It says the Good Shepherd lays down at the doorway of the sheep pen. And the sheep pens back then were, or I think probably still today, were made without doors. Usually the shepherd would be the door. So no sheep could leave or anything could enter the pen without first going through the shepherd. And as parents or as coaches or leaders, if our constituents or our people we're leaving don't feel protected or safe in that environment, it is very hard for them to trust you enough to let you lead them unconditionally. I believe in forge, not force. If I forge you to believe in what we're doing, that means there's two perceptions melting together, two understandings melting together, which is pretty strong, right? When you weld something together and it melts together, it becomes one. It's pretty strong. When you force it together, when one part ain't holding up its part, the other part's going to start separating away. I've been a part of some staffs when that happened, and when I was playing. And when that happens, that coach walks out the room, what do you think happened? The players do whatever the heck they want. Leaders do whatever they want. But when things are forged and things are are handled with care, they believe and they hold up the integrity and the expectation even when they're not there. And then we see listening and guidance is the Father's instructions is like a garland of grace for your head. Proverbs 1:8-9. The biggest joy is at the end of the season when we did end up winning the championship. These kids were celebrating the championship, but then also starting to cry. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And one of the parents said, and the parent wiping her eyes too. I'm like, Steph, what's going on? She goes, well, they just realized that they don't have practice tomorrow. So when you create an environment conducive for people to thrive, the idea of that environment not being there, it's scary. And so these kids who usually we all know as adults that when you go into the playoffs, championship games coming, we all know that, the season's coming to an end. They didn't know that. So for them, it was like, wait. This place I went to twice a week gave me value, gave me a voice, gave me something to do. You mean I don't get to go there tomorrow? I don't get to go there anymore? Wait, what? And then the parents are like, guys, but you guys are all going to play basketball together. Because we had 12 players. 9 of them were going to go play basketball together on the team. And they was like, no, but it's not going to be the same. I thought it was the greatest compliment as a coach, to be honest. But honestly speaking, the environment for them to have that care and to have that space, it was pretty cool for them. And in closing, this discipline leads to peace. We already talked about that one a little bit. And I was like, Lord, why does all this matter? Why does me coaching kids matter so much, and why did it feel so gratifying having to move, to accomplish things like that? Because this team at the beginning of the season, I got home and I was a little stressed. But also in the Word, I kind of skipped it earlier. I think it was actually point number 2. Repetition. Deuteronomy 6:7. Don't do it. When I grew up, that was star 67, which meant you didn't want people to know that you were calling. You shall teach them diligently, talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. So God says as leaders, it should be something that we are always thinking about. So if you are leading anybody or a group, or if you are a manager, or if you're a GM or in charge of, or a pastor or in charge of people, it's normal and it's expectation for you to always think about the people you're leading. I mean, at KU, I have the privilege to represent our football program when it comes to our donor relations, community engagement, spiritual development. But you realize that some of the most stressed out people are people that own businesses, because it's not just their family they're concerned with, it's the payroll of every family that they're paying. And as a great leader, not only are you creating a great environment, but you got to give the resources for them to thrive. And when people have resources to thrive, and they have a place in the resources within it to help them thrive in a space where they can grow over time, it also gives them an opportunity to learn through repetition. And in repetition and diligently, you have to be thinking about the things you truly care about to really get it right. So first and foremost, the environment. Second, after that, what's in that environment, conducive to thrive, what perspective or what are the things that they're bringing into it. Because I had to get rid of my adult brain and hone into this childlike behavior that was coming into this place that didn't know how to get in line, and teach them football all over again. But it was fun because it was challenging. But also was fun because I usually recruit families, not kids. If you got great parents, great families, you can teach the kids eventually, because the parents will give you some grace. But the other side of that is, in today's world, if a kid isn't held accountable at home, they don't know they're not meeting the expectations to be accountable outside of the home. And we can't get tired with correction out of love, and kids will shun away out of criticism, and I got to learn it myself because my 12-year-old still leaves a light on sometimes. Yeah, he might have texted me already, a slug bug too. I don't know if you guys still play that game, but it lets him know that I see everything. But no, in closing, there's so many things I could have talked about today, but I feel like God sees us as children. God sees us as his children, and we cannot shy away and forget when we lead, we have to lead understanding what we're holding. and understanding the spirit we bring into that, and the joy we bring from that also. If it's not an environment that is conducive to celebrate when great things happen or to pour into each other, like, you have to know the people that you're actually doing life with. And yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. And can I pray real quick, please? Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for me to share before the group, for the church today. You said a vine. A vine is something that's referenced a lot in the Bible, but there was one place where it said, I'm the vine and you are his branches. Lord, I ask that you create a trellis that can uphold this vineyard, so the fruit from the labor inside this building will flourish. For if there's a vine laying on the ground without a trellis, without a vertical structure that allows it to grow and let it keep its fruit will be rotten and broken away or tore away by things that before it is ripe and becomes full fruition. Lord, I ask you to allow them to grow without any resistance or a little resistance, just enough resistance for them to continue to maximize their full potential. Protect this church, protect this house. In your name we pray.
Thanks for listening this week. If you are looking for ways to serve, give, or get connected, go to vkcwest.com.